United States government has issued a fresh travel advisory warning its citizens to reconsider trips to Nigeria due to escalating insecurity and poor healthcare services. The advisory cites violent crimes, terrorism, kidnapping and unreliable medical facilities as key concerns, noting that all parts of Nigeria pose significant security risk. 18 Nigerian states were specifically flagged, including Borno, Yobe, Kaduna, Katsina, Rivers, excluding Port Harcourt, with U.S. advising citizens to avoid them entirely. The advisory also highlighted the increasing threat from terrorist groups and armed gangs operating across the country. The U.S. mission urged citizens to travel with full medical supplies, recommended vaccinations, and medical evacuation insurance. It emphasized that emergency services and healthcare infrastructure in Nigeria are far below U.S. standards, making self-preparation essential for any necessary travel. Honorable, you see, that was part of our last conversation with regards to Nigerian political class seeking healthcare abroad. Now, U.S. has taken a swipe at Nigeria. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I think that it's not all that you see on the table that tells you the story of a relationship. I believe that we have an unfriendly government in the United States.
Okay.
Not just diametrically opposed to Nigeria, but to a lot of countries in the world, particularly when it's running a cheap superiority complex-based system. And you think that you can browbeat people, you know, you impose threats, use of tariffs, you know, in an attempt to redefine or you can consider the economic order that exists, the global economic order that exists. And then you think you can redefine the political order that also exists. Now, we have a situation where American allies have gone mad. You know, take what is happening in Gaza. You know, nobody is able to call Israel to order. You know, and all you hear is that they are looking for Hamas, they are looking for Hamas. Suddenly every Palestinian is a Hamas member, even a unborn child. It's strange. But let's return to Nigeria. For me, you know that we've been pressures on some countries since the Trump administration came, you know, trying to get countries to accept prisoners.
Refugees.
Like call them prisoners.
And Venezuela.
As far as we are concerned, we have some of them.
Deportees.
Some of them you can call them deportees, but some of them are drug barons and all of. They just want to find a new country for these people and move them. And then, if you, the price of being submissive is that you help. Like what happened the other day, you can see one of these African countries helped the United States negotiate the return of some Americans who are being held abroad by such unnecessary shipments. Now, those countries that are saying no, we can't be a dumping ground for this kind, have become blackmailed. Now, look at a travel advisory, which is normal. That I don't know whether Nigeria issues travel advisory to its citizens, but I think it's a normal thing for a country to say, look, some of these areas are trouble spots across the world. Don't visit. Now, those who come to Nigeria are not tourists. Most of them are business people, so they know why they are in Nigeria. And then you tell me I am living in Port Harcourt, and thank God they say Port Harcourt is excluded. But if Port Harcourt is excluded, how can they, those communities, what are Americans looking for in those communities? Like cola, what are they going to look for there? So if Port Harcourt is safe, then it means, because it's the head, then it means that the body that is Rivers is safe. Now you can see the consistency in terms of programming, you know, that the West, led by America, is trying to do at this time. So whatever they are saying about Nigeria, yes, we know that we have unrest in the Northeast. Maybe significantly there has been some downturn in terms of what's going on in the Southeast, you know. We know that, of course, there are movements in the Northwest and all. Those things are, yes, and the government is also doing the best it can. within its capacity to bring it down. But let us also tell ourselves with humble truth that from time there has been this feeling in Western circles, particularly in American circles, that Nigeria was not supposed to work. And from the time the British gave us Nigeria and gave us the confusion that was with it, they expected us not to work. That Nigeria existed up to this time is to the glory of God. Okay? Now, you know that there are some foundations in the United States that predicted that Nigeria will split. And we still remain, no matter how the situation has been. We have remained a country. You know, we may not be an ideal country, but we're a country. And I'm glad that you are telling us about medicine, when in truth, without Nigerian doctors in America championing what Medicare should be in the US, America probably be in trouble. Okay?
So Nigerians should probably Nigerian government should make remuneration of medical doctors attractive, and also build up-to-date facilities in order to attract these people to come back and make Nigeria secure as well.
If we do one-stop things, we may not get the result. See, I think the direct emphasis right now is the rebuild of our economy. Because our economy has been in tatters. You know, we went in and out of recessions, just like that. Under Buhari, at least there were 2 or 3 recessions. Now, now, if you see where we are coming from, I think that a holistic approach, the economic plan, and since 2023 we have a growth rate, annual growth rate that's we had about 3.4% growth rate in 2023 in terms of economic growth. Now we have moved on to 3.6, and the World Bank is projecting 3.8 by next year and 2027. So if you look at the trajectory, that's a trajectory of growth.
Well, the Nigerian masses have a very different economic trajectory. Let me tell you now. Let's make it very simple. When World Bank comes to give their trajectory, CBN gives their own, I mean, whatever country and firm and organization.
No, you're not being fair.
No, hold on. I am.
The reason why, listen, you know why? Let me tell you why you're not being fair. Let me tell you why you're not being fair. Both of us are economic information managers, and we know the truth.
We are having a conversation.
We know the truth.
The point I am saying, well, I know the truth that I live, right?
You know the
and
truth.
I know the truth that people around me are living. Now, the point I am making is the market woman does not understand these permutations, right? The everyday Nigerian does not understand these trajectories, these fluctuations. Now, what they understand is that as of 2023, they could actually buy paracetamol for 100 naira. But in 2025, even with the economic growth, they can no longer buy paracetamol with 400 naira. Do you understand? So why the trajectories and the permutations are saying, oh, it's improving? The Nigerian quality of life is not improving. So the only language that the illiterates understand, the economic illiterates, the market woman, even the literate everyday Nigerian, who right now is hustling, if I may use that language, to survive, understands is that whatever trajectory you're talking about is in the paper, does not translate to real life situation for them. So how do you encourage, now you have the floor, how do you encourage Nigerians to hang on to hope? Because right now, all these trajectory and permutations is telling us, be hopeful, it's going to get better.
Now, what we are saying, that's, you see, frankly, if we are to turn ourselves to the conclusion that we need to we're going through a process. And even if you're a farmer, I come from a farming settlement where we plant cassava. And we know that cassava does not grow in one day. Do you understand? We know that cassava does not grow in one day. So it takes time. It will germinate, then it will grow. It's the same thing with policy. When you have drawn policies, you don't expect radical change. Does not exist anywhere because it will cause a dysfunction in the system. You know. So, but people ought to, you know, some of the policies that we embark on could have some pushback on society and lead to inflation. Take the issue of the
subsidy removal.
Subsidy removal. It had an impact on inflation.
The naira valuation.
You know, all those things could affect inflation. Okay? But now you also see, again, you say the ordinary person may not be saying that, but I'm trying to, rationally, if you are discussing issues, there is experience on the street. There is
the permutations and the trajectory.
The facts that are coming, that there is some level of deflation, at least some percentage drop in our inflationary trend. You know, meaning that policies are beginning to take shape, they're beginning to hold.
All right.
Okay? Now, what we need, you know, depends on what your concept of wealth creation is. You know, if the companies are running, then there is a possibility that they'll be generating wealth, they'll be generating employment opportunities. Okay? And then the subsidiaries that depend on their operations will begin to build strength. Okay? So, those are, and that's why I'm saying that it's also proper, while we are discussing this problem that is so painful from the point of view of our ordinary Nigerians, it's also proper, interesting, it will be interesting if those of us who claim to have some limited knowledge of issues also able to put this in on the table so that they can understand how it swings.
That's why you're here, and I'm presenting to you the sufferings and the pains
and that's
of the people. And that's why I'm also presenting to you the understanding and how they interpret the trajectories you talked about, the trajectory you talked about, the permutations you talked about. This is how Nigerians interpret it. And that's why I'm asking you.
Now,
how
so you see, you know why. So at the end of the day, I believe that we have the political elite, we have the business elite, we even have intellectuals within the four walls of our universities who are dealing with data on a constant basis, who appreciate to some extent what is going on in terms of providing solutions, and who think, because again, society won't be where it is if some orientation by media or pro-media groups do not exist. So I believe that we may have a better country if all of us commit, you know, if all of us commit to the business of rebuilding our country. Now, there can be no better home, and that's why for those who think that Japan, okay, look up, so many people who sold out, they wanted to Japan to America, and then suddenly we have a anti-Japan king in Washington, who is even looking for a way of deporting people who have green cards. So you can imagine the kind of, so where are we running to when we destroy our country? I'm grateful that we have people like you who go nowhere, you know. People like you who go nowhere, and I'm one of you. So we need to stay here.
We need to speak truth to power.
So
that
power, yes, at all times.
That is my job as a journalist.
Yeah, at all times.
I will always speak truth to power, no matter how painful it is. I mean, it is what it is, and the right thing should be done so that US will no longer put us on negative advisory, whether they are doing it, you know, as retaliation for Nigerian government turning down their request to dump or use Nigeria as dumping site for deportees. While I commend the government on rejecting that particular request.
And if you recall, there was a time also they told us under Jonathan's administration that except we accepted gay marriages. That they were going to do things on salary, you know,
with regards to policies.
Yeah, exactly. And you remember, He took David Mark. You say on the platform of a Nigerian Senate that we will never allow
That
gayism. You know, so that's the kind of, you see, the kind of policies that they were pushing, and they're still pushing in our direction, are ridiculous policies.
It's all right. Very well.
You know, yesterday they built Australia through dumping. You know, the bigger idea was to take those criminals far away where they can no longer find their way back home. You never know. You never know what happens. Now, but if we say we don't want, as a matter of choice, we don't want foreigners that we cannot account for in our country. And on account of that, they're going to market us. Go ahead.
All right. So you feel this is a retaliatory move by the U.S.
Clearly,
to market Nigeria as a result of Nigeria refusing.
Yes, and you know that when we went to attend BRICS, remember in the last Brazilian meeting, they issue warnings that those countries that are
will be sanctioned.
They're mixing with
members
Russia.
Of BRICS.
Meanwhile, the same Russia produced Trump. It was Russia that produced Trump.